Am I the idiot for wanting to forgive one brother for having an affair with another brother's fiancée? I have two brothers, John, 28, and Matt, 25. Around 3 years ago, our family exploded when it came out that Matt was having an affair with John's fiancée. A fiancée who was 6 months pregnant. Matt turned out to be the father. John was understandably humiliated and angry. I was fully on his side. I was disgusted with Matt and the fiancée. Here's my issue though. At John's insistence, Matt has pretty much been excommunicated from our family. He isn't allowed at any gatherings where John is. And John purposely makes sure he is at every one. Matt married John's ex-fiancée and are raising the 2.5-year-old together. To this day, Matt's wife is referred to as a whore and the baby is called a bastard. Only by John but in our family's presence. He hates them with a passion even today. My parents have really struggled with this but have agreed to follow John's rule of no contact with the wife or baby. Even contact with Matt is done in secret. Matt has been kicked out of our family business because John can't be in the same room as him. All photos of Matt have been hidden in the family home. No gifts have been given to Matt's child at all. Am I absolutely crazy to think that 3 years of this is enough? Matt is clearly remorseful and has apologized many times in tears. He clearly regrets hurting our brother. I can understand that John is absolutely hurt and it must have been the most painful betrayal. But I still love both my brothers. Matt did a shitty thing, but how much more does he need to be punished? My poor parents have been broken-hearted for the past 3 years because of this. They have confided in me that they are willing to forgive Matt and move on and regret letting it get this far. We were such a tight-knit family before, but I'm really worried that suggesting forgiveness with John will cause a massive fight and he'll make us choose between them. I also worry about his mental health. They're also the innocent child in this. He deserves a relationship with his grandparents and his aunt. I have recently been visiting Matt and his family. They are clearly struggling with the isolation. His wife broke down and apologized as I held my nephew for the first time. My heart tore in two. Comment 1. YTA. Why should he get over it? I mean, really, you feel bad for Matt? Matt is living with the consequences of doing one of the worst possible things he could have to your brother. He wants to approach John and beg for forgiveness, that's one thing, but you don't get to demand that Matt is allowed back in. Comment 2. It's better for the kid in this instance to be raised in a 2-parent home with married parents. I know that's not always true, but the only objection we know of against the marriage here is that John is understandably further betrayed by it. Uncle John isn't going to be in the kid's life either way, so from the kid's perspective he is irrelevant. What you're implying here is that Matt and wife should have placed their duty of loyalty to John over the best interests of their child. Obviously they shouldn't have cheated, but that ship has already sailed. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for asking my brother what did he do to deserve getting cheated on? I, a 22M, live with my parents while finishing my college degree. I do not pay rent, but I pay for utilities and some of the house bills. My twin brother Mark moved away in 2021 but came back this year after his GF kicked him out of her place. 2 weeks ago my younger sister Gia, 19F, broke up with her BF, and after much prodding we finally found out it was because he had been cheating with one of his female friends behind her back for months. Needless to say, Gia was heartbroken over it. He was her first BF after all, and to get cheated on that way and to find out the way she did is traumatizing to say the least. Because of that my parents and I have been going out of our way to be nicer to her. Nothing too excessive, but my mom has been doing her laundry and baking more treats Gia likes lately. My dad gave her his credit card so that she can replace the things she left at her ex's place. And I've been cooking more things she likes in order to cheer her up. The only one who hasn't done anything to cheer her up is Mark. In fact, it's like he's been going out of his way to be a jerk to her. For example, when Gia was showing me the girl her ex cheated on her with, he was sitting by my side. He took one look at the girl and said, "Damn, she's way hotter than you," to which I said, "Thank God. It would a lot worse if you thought your sister was hotter than a non-related chick," which made him get pissy and go to his room, but the damage had been done. He's been making a lot of those digs lately, and when I asked him why, he said that it was because he was annoyed that everyone was babying Gia because she's a grown woman and that type of thing happens to everyone, and she shouldn't get special treatment for it. To which I pointed out that when he got kicked out he got the same type of treatment and never complained about the babying, even though he's older than her, and that made him shut up for a while. Yesterday I was making breakfast and decided to make Gia's favorite, Nutella waffles. Mark got to the table, got himself some waffles and everything was normal, then Gia got to the table. We all started talking and Gia mentioned how she had to block her ex and his friends because they kept bothering her to go and talk to him. She was clearly bothered by it. Then Mark said, "You should talk to him. God knows what you put that poor guy through to deserve to get cheated on the way you did." That was the wrong thing to say for many obvious reasons, and I can't believe he would say that out loud. So I decided not to hold back and asked him, "Damn, sorry if you think that way, but going by that logic, what did you do to Drew, his first GF, for her to cheat on you?" He did not like that, but couldn't fight my logic, so all he did was to grab the rest of the breakfast and left for his room. And he hasn't left ever since, and now I feel guilty for what I said. My mom thinks I was too cruel to him and should apologize, but Dad and Gia think I said nothing wrong. So, Ita? Comment 1. The worst part is that he did get the same type of support during his breakup with Drew. The only difference is that since he still lived at home during that time, he didn't have to do any chores. And instead of giving him his credit card to replace what he left at Drew's place, my dad gave him his credit card so that he could buy the video games he wanted. But besides all that, it was all the same, so I don't understand why he's having a hissy fit over that now. Fuck. Even Gia supported him during that time by baking his favorite cakes since he really likes her baking. Comment 2. Mark has always been a trash mouth. He'll start shit with people, say the most vile / out of pocket things he can think of at the time, but will fold the second someone says something of the same nature to him. I, however, am not the type to start shit, but I will go low and lower if what the person says bothers me enough. My earliest memory of me doing that was when I was 8 to 9 years old and a kid at school said some mean comment. When I was talking about my cat getting run over by a car, they survived but broke a paw, and I said something along the lines of, "At the least my cat is stronger than your grandma." BC, their grandma had fallen down the stairs and broke both of her legs while my cat got run over by a car and walked off only with a broken paw. Needless to say, that kid cried and I got into trouble. I did grow a filter later in life, but I was an out-of-pocket kid. That's why he usually doesn't start shit with me. And I honestly thought he did grow a filter like I did, so now why he's acting that way towards Gia. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not inviting my brother and arguing with my mom and her family over it? I, 16M, have a younger brother, 13M, and we share a mom but have different dads. My parents were married and mom cheated or had an affair, and my brother was the result. My dad didn't want to raise my brother or stay married to mom, which I get. But when my brother's bio father left the country to flee all child support stuff, my mom and her family decided my dad was a POS for not loving my brother for being my brother. Mom over the years has filled my brother with the idea my dad should be his dad too since we're related, and she's always tried to encourage me to include him in my time with my dad, and has encouraged him to tell me how he feels left out. It's always been awkward. My dad and I talk about it. He has spoken to mom, he has taken her to court over the issues, and he has asked me if I want him to adopt my brother as his own. I always said he didn't have to. I just hate the pressure. My brother and I don't have a great relationship because of everything. I have included him a couple of times if my dad was offering to take me and friends someplace. But my brother tries to bond with my dad and then gets upset when my dad doesn't treat him the same as me. Last time he got mad because dad treated him the same as my friends and corrected him when he said they were family. So my dad took me and some friends to a cool arcade in another city. I didn't invite my brother this time. I didn't even mention it. But I guess dad had to because he was taking me so far, and my mom was pissed when I got to her house. My brother was upset and told me he's being left behind / left out. I told him it's not that, but he needs to understand that he makes things awkward when he chases after my dad. He told me dad should be there for him too, and he's just a kid without a dad, and how can I not be mad at my dad for excluding him? My mom and her family told me I should be ashamed of myself for excluding my brother. I argued back that it always ends badly when he's there, and I'm done letting him think he can use that time to get close to dad, because clearly dad doesn't want to raise him. I was called a shitty brother. Comment 1. NTA. I don't get these stories where people expect others to raise children they had nothing to do with bringing into this world. It is hard on the younger brother, but it is not the ex-husband's responsibility to take up the slack. The mother who cheated and doesn't understand birth control should be contorting herself into a pretzel to be both parents. to the child since she made such a bad choice in his father. Comment 2. This. Also, you need to sit down and talk with your brother. If he can understand at 13, but your relationship is at the point it needs it. You could be nicer about your mom than you should be. You can explain that because his dad is not there, explain it in the way he has been told. Don't say his dad fled the country to avoid child support if he doesn't know it'll only hurt him and cause more drama. Your mom felt bad and wanted him to have a father figure, honestly. Can only hope this is where it came from with your mom. She just went about it toxically wrong. She knew that your dad was a good dad, despite the issues between him and her. That her intentions to have the two of them bond were good, but she went about it in a way that's not good for anyone. Due to no fault of his own, your dad is not comfortable being in that role for him. If he asks why, he needs to talk to your mom about that. That when he tries to pressure your dad into being his dad, the way your mom has told him to, he is accidentally hurting everyone. How would he feel if he had a young kid constantly following him and hanging on him and telling him he's his brother, etc., when he isn't and doesn't feel comfortable with it? Then ask if the same kid just hung out like a friend and didn't constantly follow you around and try to get your attention. Wouldn't that be better? Or something that draws similarities to what he is doing to something he could or has experienced. Explain to him that it would be okay if he came along sometimes, but he needs to back off and understands that he probably will never be able to have that relationship with your dad like that. Tell him you're sorry for how it makes him feel, because I'm sure you are. Your post seems like you understand the hurt in his heart. But that is your mom's doing. But if he relaxes, it may, and stress may, because he's desperate and going to have a hard time hearing it's a slim possibility, be able to have a bit of a better relationship with everyone. Be on his side that it wasn't fair for your mom to set up his expectations like that and you don't want to hurt him, but he is old enough to hear the truth. You didn't want to wait to talk to him. BC, the way things are going is only hurting relationships all around, including yours and his. And you don't want that. If you're willing to go talk to your mom with him, it could be to support him, it could be to call her out if she tries to turn the tables. Say it. The best thing you can do for your brother is to be as honest as you can with him, but not to let this behavior continue from anyone. On the other hand, your dad sounds great. He is trying to be there for you by trying his best to be there for your brother. That's an incredibly great and strong person, and I hope you have told him how much you appreciate the gesture and effort to be the best dad possible. Oh, yeah. If it wasn't clear, NTA your mom is, your brother isn't either. He's a victim to your mom as much as you and your dad.